the syllabus, that is normalization and transactions. So right now I'll be dealing with the part of normalization. So unit 3 consists of normalization and transaction. So in normalization, we'll first highlight what we are covering in the class. So in normalizations, we'll be having guidelines for normalization. We have something known as functional dependency. We have first normal form. We have second normal form. We have third normal form. It's called as Boycott's normal form. Okay. So in this class, we will be dealing with what are the guidelines for normalization, functional dependencies, one NFA and possibly 2 NFA. So before going to that, what we can say? Here we can say is what is a good relation. So we all know now what is a relation. A relation is nothing but a table. So a table has a set of attributes. For example, consider a table like this. Where we have many fields. Assume that this is a table for student. We have student USN. We have roll number. We have first name, we have last name, we have his department, we have his college, we have his city, we have his PAN number, Aadhaar number, and so on. So for example, when we consider a single table with so many attributes, the first question we should ask ourselves is this a table of good relation or a good table? Now what happens here is when we consider a table like this, assumptions that again we have, I'll ignore like this for a few things. I'll say it as parents' mobile number, I'll say it as brother's mobile number, and so on. So if a table like this has so many fields, assume the table has 10, 15 attributes in it. So what happens here is, so when we are populating the table, that is, when we are inserting the values in the table, it may so happen that we may come across duplicate values. We may come across some attributes where we don't have values. We may come across some attributes which are redundant, which are unknown and all. So in this scenario, if you look at the table like this, we can't say that, see here, we have again a department. To which department A belongs. Assume that again there is a department number. So for example, if a department number of one student changes, we have to again update the given table for all the attributes. So processing time keeps on increasing here. So what the first question we should ask ourselves is the given table or relation is in a good relation? Now what I mean by a good relation? A relation is said to be good if it is, if it is not dependent on any other attribute from other tables and it should have unique values in it, right? So this is the concept of what I mean by a good relation. Given a table which has minimum number of attributes and avoids dependency, avoids redundancy, avoids null values, then such relation is said to be a good relation. Is that clear? What are we dealing here now? We know what is a table, how the tables can be populated, but in what way a table can be populated so that we get a good relation such that no attributes are repeated, no values are repeated, there is no null value in the table, and so on. So to do that, we have various guidelines to be followed. So by following this guideline, at the end of the day, we can come across a scenario where we'll end up with a good relation. So what are the various guidelines for a good relation? We'll study. After that, what is the functional dependency. How one attribute is determined by other attributes is called as functional dependency. Then we have normalization. Normalization is like breaking the table, a bigger table into smaller one such that after that we can't break the table. And to what level we can break the table is called as normalization. So in that scenario we have 1 NFA, 2 NFA, 3 NFA, we have BCNFA, that is boycott's normal form. So we'll study one by one now. Initially, what do you mean by the informal guidelines? Now as the word itself says, these are informal guidelines, not regularly to be applied, but these are informal. So what are those? First one is semantics of attribute. Next one is reducing redundant tuple. Third one is reducing null, and fourth one is disallowing generation of spurious tuple. So these are the guidelines which should be followed when you are going to generate a good relation. So the very first is semantics of attribute. Now what I mean by semantics of attribute? Given a relation, we should remember that given two relations. For example, here I am having a table known as employee. Better what I'll do is I'll explain this with the help of a PPT which I have got it. So this will help you to understand the concepts very easily so that I can project them also. Okay, because writing it may take more time for me. So let's understand. The first one is semantics of attributes. Now what I mean by this, if you look at this, each tuple in a relation should be represented by one entity. There should not be more than one entity in the attribute. Only foreign keys should be used to refer other entities. Entities and relationships should be kept apart. That is, when you are developing a schema diagram, you should take care that entities and relationships should be kept apart as possible, and design a schema that can be explained easily by the relation. So for example, if you look at this part here, this will clear your doubt. Now look at this table here. I am having a relation by name employee. I am having a relation by name department. I am having a relation by name department, location, project, and works on. So when I say semantics of attributes, it should be very clear for me to understand that given a table, there may be n number of attributes. What value should go in each attribute should be known well in prior, and there should be only atomic attribute in it. And even after that, we should understand that there should be one attribute which is uniquely identifying the entire tuple, and that attribute is called as the key attribute. Now for example, if you look at the table employee, we have employee name, SSN, birth date, address, and department number. Now if you look at this two tables initially, you can easily understand that SSN is a primary key. So the minute you write, you underline it or you write PK, it is understood by ourselves. That is, this is the key attribute which uniquely identifies the entire tuple form. And on similar lines, there is one more relation by name department which has D number as primary key. And if you look at the other part here, in the employee table, there is department number. Now, whenever you are relating more than one table, it should be taken care that only foreign keys are connected to the parent table, no any other key. Now we know what is a foreign key. A primary key of one table which refers to other table is known as the foreign key. Now, the department number here is the primary key. So this key attribute refers to department's table D number. Now that is called as a foreign key. So make sure that when you are developing relations or designing relations, it should be taken care that entities and relations should be kept far apart. You can't make everything, project, department, location works on in a single table. This is what it means. You should make sure that entities are kept in a separate table. That is when you are designing an ER diagram. After that, whatever the relations are coming, the relation should be kept in a separate table and you join those two with the help of foreign keys. This is called as semantic of attributes. Now next is reducing redundant tuple. So what happens is, assume that you have a So for example, assume that you have employee name, assume that you have joined two tables, employee and department. So what happens here is, when we join the and department, it may so happen that which is CS department, employee 2 also works for this CS department, employee 3 Samit to EC department. So what happens here is, if you look at this table, here, I have joined two tables. Those tables are and department. So after joining, I have got something like this. So what happens here is, when employee is joined with table, now look at this. These two employees are working for the same department. Department number 1, which is CS. So see what is happening here is, 1 and CS is being duplicated n number of times. Assume that there are 10 employees who are working for department 1. So what happens here is, only for me, whereas this one is repeating 10 times. So what is happening here is, when we keep all these attributes in a single table, we may come across redundant values. Is this clear? I hope you are getting it again. See, when employee and department, assume that there are 50 employees working for CS department. So what will happen in this table is, unique, the name of 50 people. But what happens here is, 50 times department number and department name is repeated. Now we should try designing a relation such that such redundancy should be avoided. Redundancy is nothing but duplication. So what is happening here is, 50 times. So 50 times it is being duplicated for me. So such things should be avoided for me. and this is called as redundant information in tuples. Is this clear? What I mean by redundant information? But with redundant, I will have three problems. Anomalies. So while talking about redundant information, we'll have the problems known as three problems, which is insert anomaly, delete anomaly, and update anomaly. Now we'll understand one by one what happens here. What is, again same, I'll take the same example. Assume that this is the employee table. We have employee number, e-name, and I have joined the table employee and department. So what happens with insert anomaly? Assuming that I am having only two employees here, employee 1 Amit, employee 2 So what happens while inserting is, unless there is a assigned to that department. See, when we join this, what are the problems we arises? First and the foremost thing is insert anomaly. So what happens in insert anomaly is, this is the table for employee, this is the table for department. So if you're trying to take care that if you're inserting a department, that department should have a subsequent employee who is working in that department. And if you're inserting an employee here, there should be a subsequent department for him to be assigned. So this problem arises when we go for such table. Either of the side values, we have to have the values for it. This is called as insert anomaly. Is this clear what I mean by insert anomaly? Next we have update anomaly. Now what I mean by update anomaly, look at this table here. As I said, there are 50 working for department 1. There are 50 employees working for department 1. So it may so happen that down the lane the department number 1 will change its naming convention to department number D1. Initially they were assigned the numbers as 1, 2, 3, 4. Down the lane the department naming convention changed to D1. So what will happen here is, I have to update 50 rows in this table whose department D1. Now this 1 will be updated to D1 50 times. I have to update it. Assume that if there are 100 employees, just changing convention for one name, I am updating 100 rows. This is called as update anomaly. Is that clear what I mean by update anomaly? Let me repeat it. Assume this table has 50 entries or 50 employees working on department number 1 and CS. But down the lane, department number 1 change its convention from 1 to D1. So what will happen here is, this one has to be updated to D1 50 times because there are 50 tuples which are working for D1. This is called as delete anomaly. And the last one is, this is called as update anomaly. And the last one is delete anomaly. So what I mean by delete anomaly is, assume that this employee has completed its work working in department number 1. But when I want to remove this employee, at the same time I have to delete its department also. So what happens here is, when you are deleting one attribute, the subsequent attribute of this table also should be deleted. So this is the problem which cause for redundant tuple. So what happens in delete anomaly is, even if I am to try to delete Dilip, I should also delete this department also, but other people are there who are working for the department. So this is called as delete anomaly, or we call it as delete problem. Then how to solve this? So the best way to solve this is, you can design a schema that does not suffer from insert anomaly, update anomaly and delete anomaly. Now how can it be done? That can be done, rather than keeping everything in a single table, we can divide the table such that the information is kept in other tables also. This is called as reducing redundant tuples in this. And the next one what we'll study is third one, as I said, that is avoiding null values. Now what I mean by avoiding null values? Assume that you have again a relation like this. We got this. So the next concept what we are studying is reducing null values in the tuple. So what I mean by this is, you design a relation such that you have very few null values in the table form. So when you are creating a table, make sure that the attributes which you are including in the relation should not end up having null values in it. That is what it says. Attributes that are null frequently could be kept in a separate table. So what might be the various reasons where you will come across inserting null values for the relation? The very first reason is attribute not applicable, attribute value is unknown, value known to exist but unavailable. We'll understand this all three in a single relation like this with the example here. Okay, I'll just take one simple example. I'll say employee number. Okay, I'll say USN. I'll say name. I'll say their mobile number. I'll say their landline number. I'll say their parents number. And I'll say something known as Aadhaar number. Assume that you are populating a table which has USN of the student, name of the student, mobile number, their landline number, parents number and their Aadhaar number. So when you are designing a relation like this, make sure that whenever you design a relation, it should be taken care that the attributes which are including the relation should not have maximum null values. That means if maximum attributes are having null values, then what are the use of those attributes? So in that case, what you can do is, whichever attributes are ending up with null values in it, you can take it out from the main table and place it in a separate table. Now what are the various reasons where you will come across null? The first one is attribute not applicable. Now look at this part, the landline mobile number. Nowadays rarely people have landline number with them, right? So when you include a attribute by name landline, example of me itself, I don't have a landline at my place. So what I'll do here is, I'll insert this USN, I'll do it, name I'll do it, I'll insert my mobile number, but landline I'll leave it blank. So this is the attribute where is not applicable for me. Or there will be some attribute known as flat number. Now when you are including a table for an employee, we will keep all his address, street number, flat number, house number and all. Assume that employee has an independent house. So the attribute flat number will have no relevance in it. So this will also lead to a null value. Is this clear? attribute not applicable. So try avoiding using landline numbers in the relations now. As an example, I am talking here. Next one is attribute value unknown. May exist but unknown. For example, as I said now, Aadhaar number I am talking. Now rarely people bahats their Aadhaar number. Now I know what is my Aadhaar number, but at right now I don't remember it. So rather than giving any wrong information there, again I'll leave it blank. So try avoiding the attributes for which the values are unknown for you. Only include those attributes whose values are known for me. This is called as attribute values unknown. They may exist, but they are unknown. And the last one is value known to exist but unavailable. So for example, your parents' mobile number. Now we have seen rarely students enter their parents' mobile number in any of the college information. So what happens here is value exists, but you don't want to enter it. So again you leave it blank. So now look at this table. When you insert all the values, the first three you will be filling it, but maximum times what you will do is for the landline, for the parents and for the address, you will leave it blank only. So this is not a good table design. So what it says is whenever you are doing this, the attributes which are having blank or null, take it out from the main table and push it in another relation. Spurious tuples. Now what I mean by spurious tuples are unwanted tuples. Bad design for a relation database joining may result in enormous result for certain join operations. The relation should be designed to satisfy the lossless join condition. No spurious tuple should be generated by doing a natural join or any. This I can explain with an example. Now look at these two tables. There is a table by name employee and there is a table by name department. If I join them naturally, so what happens here is I'll get a join table like this for employee and department. Employee SSN 1 Amit department 1 is joined with 1 CS 2 EC, the natural join I am talking. So what happens here is this is joined with CS, again Amit is joined with EC, Dilip is joined with CS, Dilip is joined with EC. So when you go for a natural join, this is what I get a table when I join those two tables, employee and department. But now look at this part. Now when you look at this part here, so what is happening here is, see this Amit and Dilip. Now as I know Amit belongs to department 1 which is nothing but CS. Dilip belongs to department 2 which is nothing but EC. But when I join them naturally, what happens here is, I am getting a row where Amit is showing for EC. Dilip is showing for CS. So these are the valid tuples. Amit belongs to department 1 CS. Dilip belongs to department 2 EC. But what is happening here is Amit and Dilip, I am getting some rows which are not correct, are unwanted rows I can say, because since I have done a natural join, I will get unwanted rows. And this is called as spurious tuples. Unwanted tuples are called as spurious tuples. So it also says that when you are generating a relation or developing a relation, make sure that you avoid getting spurious tuples. Then how should I go for it? Now I know now various guidelines are, first one is semantics of attributes, anomalies, reducing redundant values, avoiding null values and avoiding generation of spurious tuples. So how it can be done? The first guideline says that design a relation schema so that it is easy to explain its meaning. Make sure that you give proper naming conventions for attribute, whichever are the primary keys, foreign keys, name it properly. Place the entities in one table, relations in other table so that it is easy for me to bifurcate. This is the first guide. Second is design the base relation schema that has no insert, delete or update or modification anomaly. Which means that whenever you are developing a relation, make sure that you have less number of insert anomalies, less number of delete anomalies, less number of update anomalies. The third says that avoid using nulls in relations. As I said, whichever attributes have null values, take it out from the parent table and push it in some other table. So whichever are the base tables will have less null values. And fourth one is join relations with equi-join now. Rather than going for natural join, if I go with equi-join, what will happen is this rows will be deleted from the relation. So these are the various guidelines which should be followed when you are working for normalizations. I hope this is clear. Now next we'll study is functional dependencies. Now what I mean by functional dependency, I can tell with an example here itself directly, rather than going on the slide part. This one will tell me example. Assume that there is a table employee and project. So I have joined the tables employee and project. So once I join, I get a table with SSN, project number, hour, employee name, project name and project location. So what happens here is, if you look at this part also now, I'll just say one more. A simple example for you to understand here is, I'll say your USN, your name, your city and the PIN code. Assume that your USN is the primary key. So what happens here is, we are talking about functional dependencies, okay? Now what I mean by dependency is, when other attributes of a table, if it can be determined by a single attribute, then that attribute is said to be functionally dependent on other attributes. Look at this example here. USN, your name, city and PIN. Now we all know, if I know your USN, I can tell your name. True? But the vice versa is not correct. If I can call your name, I can't tell your USN, because if I say example Amit, there may be 4 Amits in the class. So whose USN I am referring here? But if I call a USN, exactly I'll come to know what's the name of the person, right? So what happens here is, with USN, I can determine your name. So I can write like this. From USN, I can determine your name. From USN, I can also tell which city you belong to. True? From your USN, I can tell what's the PIN code of your area. Right? So now look at this part here. When the other attributes of the table can be determined by a single attribute, then they are said to be dependent on this attribute. And this kind of relation is called as functional dependency. Now if you look at the other part also, we also have city and PIN. We also know, if I know the PIN code, I can tell which city you are talking about. So what happens here is, even the PIN code can determine the city for me. And this is called as functional dependency. When the other attributes of a table can be determined by one attribute, this is called as functional dependency. Now look at this table, employee and project. It has attributes SSN, project number, hour, employee name, project name and project location. Now if you look at this part, I know now employee name. From that entire relation, if I want to know employee name, if I know only his SSN, I can tell what is his name, right? So employee name is dependent on SSN. Look at the arrow notations, or I have clearly shown here. If I want to know employee name, and this is the arrow notation, which means that employee name is dependent on SSN. So if I can know the SSN, I can tell the name, but the vice versa is not correct. If I know the employee name, I can't tell his SSN, because there will be more than one employee with the same naming conventions, but there will be only one person with the same SSN. So this is called as a functional dependency. Look at the other example there. Project name. Now if from that relation, if I want to know the project name, I know now with project number I can tell the name of the project. Yes. With project number I can tell the project location also. So project name and project location are dependent on project number. Project name and project number are dependent on project number. So this is called as a functional dependency. Project name and project location can be determined by project number. If it can be determined by either of the attributes, this is called as functional dependency. Is this clear what I mean by functional dependency? I can just go back and I can read out. A functional dependency is a property of the attribute in the schema which holds true on every relation. If K is a key of relation, then K function determines all the attributes in R. Since we have two distinct type of tuples, T1 of K is equal to T2 of K. That is what it means here. When once I know your name, I can determine your name. Once I know your USN, I can tell your city and I can tell your pin code. When the other attributes are dependent on one attribute, this is called as functional dependency. Because this is the concept which helps me to go for the next part, which is called as normalization. Is this clear now what we studied in the initial part? Initially we studied about good and bad relation. See, if you include everything in a single table, it is called as a bad relation. So how can I make a good relation? By following few of the guidelines. Which are the guidelines? Semantics of attributes, that is, a relation should be named properly, entity should be kept separately, attribute should be kept separately, proper naming convention should be given. One attribute of table can relate to other attribute only with the help of a foreign key. This is the first guideline. Second guideline says that avoid redundant, because if you mix everything in a single table, you will get a table where values are redundant. Values are being duplicated. So avoid doing that. If you avoid doing that, you come across a good relation. Third one is avoid using nulls. So what did I say with the example here? A table where employee name, student USN name, his landline number, parents number, mobile number and Aadhaar number, all these are there. So you'll have three attributes where maximum times you'll insert null values. So in that case, it is not a good relation. So in that case, remove the null from the table and place it in a separate table. So this also leads to a good relation. And fourth one is avoid using generating of spurious tuples. So because when you go for a natural join, we come across unwanted rows where there is no relevance or no meaning on those rows. So in that case, to avoid getting such rows, always join the tables with the help of a equi-join. So when I follow all this, I'll come across a good relation. Next thing is dependencies. When one attribute of a table can be determined by other attribute, this is called as functional dependency. So once I know what is a good relation, how can I develop a good relation? So to develop a good relation, we'll come across the word normalization. As the word itself says, normalization, it is a process of decomposing a bad relation by breaking up their attributes into smaller relation. Assume that you have a table with 15 or 16 attributes in it. Obviously now I can say that it might be a bad relation. So in that case, what I can do is, rather than having a single table with 16 attributes, I can break it in pieces such that I'll come across some smaller relations where only useful values can go in it. And after that, I can't again decompose it. So to the maximum level, what I can decompose it is called as normalization. A given table with 16 attributes, what I can do is I can decompose it into some smaller tables, for example 4 or 5 tables. After that, I can't decompose it again. So to the maximum level, what I can decompose them is called as normalization. So how they can be done? They can be done with the help of normal forms, which we'll study is 1 NFA, 2 NFA, 3 NFA and BC NFA. And this can be achieved with the help of functional dependencies also. So how this works? A proper normalized database should have the following characteristics. So when I say a table is normalized, it should have the following characteristics. Those are nothing but the guidelines what we studied. Scalar values in each field. That means when you're inserting a value for an attribute, for example your city, you should have a scalar value, a single value. You can't enter two cities here, Belgaum and Pune, Belgaum and Mumbai. No, only one. So when you are saying the table is normalized, it has some of the characteristics. First thing is scalar values in each field. Absence of redundancy. Remember the guidelines we studied? So when you are saying the table is normalized, obviously redundancy is avoided. Minimal use of null values, the third guideline, which says that when you are developing a table and if there are attributes which has maximum null, remove those attributes from the table and place it in a separate, so that minimum number of null values I get. So minimal values of null and minimal loss of information, which is nothing but with the equi-join. So when a table is said to be a normalized, these are the characteristics what it follows. So there are various normal forms with which I can do it, right from 1 NFA, 2 NFA, 3 boycott, 4th, 5th, 6th and DKNF. Domain key normal form. But for your syllabus, we have still only BCNFA, boycott normal form. And if you look at this levels of normalization, it's like a circle over here, 1 NFA, 2 NFA, 3, 4, 5. So what I mean by this is, if you say that a relation is in 1 NFA, if you develop a relation which is in 1 NFA, and later on you develop a relation which is 2 NFA, if you say that a relation is said to be in 2 NFA, second normal form, then by default it is first normal form. Again, you don't have to compare it for the first normal form. If you say that a relation is in third normal form, then by default it has two normal form as well as the first normal form. If you say that you have developed a table which is in fourth normal form, for example, then it is well assumed that the relation already is in third normal form, second normal form and first normal form. Okay. Now we'll study one by one. What is the first normal form? That is 1 NFA. Now look at this, a table. Relation is nothing but a table. A table is said to be in first normal form if all the attributes of it contains scalar values. Only if the table has scalar values in it, then it is said to be in 1 normal form. Now look at this table. I have taken this table for example of author and publisher. Now there is a table where book ISBN is maintained, the title of the book, the author name, author phone number, publisher phone number, publisher name and the price of the book. Okay. So if you look at this table, now the question might be asked, is this table in 1 NFA? So what you should do is you should read the definition of it. What does the first normal form say? A table is considered to be in 1 normal form, first normal form, if all the field contains only scalar values, that is single value. Now look at this. We all know whenever any book and all is written, there may be more than one authors. Yes. So what is happening here is, in this author attribute, there are 3 fields or 3 values. But what does the 1 NFA says? It should have scalar values. Since there are 3 authors, every author has his own phone number. So look at this field. This is okay. It has scalar. This is scalar. All are scalar. But these 2 fields, author name and author phone number, are not scalar, which has more than 1 values in it. So whenever a table has more than 1 values in it, it is said to be not in 1 normal form. Then how can I get this table into first normal form is the next task. So if you want to get that table in a first normal form, the rule says, we have listed the rules, place all that items that appear in the repeating group in a new table. Now look at this part. Now which are the attributes which are repeating? Author name and author phone number. So what they say is, take out this from the main table. Okay, I'll just show it here itself. What they say is, take out this from the main table and place it in a separate table. So the first rule says that place all the items that appear in the repeating group in a new table. See, from this table, author name and author phone number were repeating. So I took out those attributes and have placed it in a new table here. What does the second rule says? Designate a primary key for each new table produced. Duplicate in the new table the primary key of the table for which repeating groups was extracted or vice versa. So what I did initially is, from this table, author name and phone number were repeated. So I took out them from the main table. I have placed it here. So once I have placed it here, dedicate a primary key. Since author name can't be a primary key, there may be more than 1 people with the same naming conventions, nor their phone numbers. So what I'll do is, author number, author name and phone number together, I'll make them as a primary key, because one author may have more than 1 numbers also again. True? Yeah. So place them in a separate table, and after that the primary key of the main table, which was nothing but ISBN, add it again in this table. Now, and you designate this also as a primary key. Now this becomes a composite primary key. Now look at this part. For the book, ISBN 0321 321 321. Title is scalar value. This is scalar value, scalar value, scalar value. So when I come here, for the same book, we had 3 authors. Author 1 Sleepy, author 2 Snoopy, author 2 3 Gumpy. Now again look at this part. Every attribute has a scalar value. The relation here, which was not in first normal form, now I have decomposed. I have modified it to first normal form. And how did I do that? By following the guidelines. Place all the items that appear in the repeating group in a new table. Designate a primary key for each new table produced. So designate a primary key. Duplicate in the new table the primary key of the table from which the repeating group was extracted. So this repeating group was extracted from which table? The main table. And which was the primary key for that? ISBN. Take it out and place it here. So this is how the given table, which was a single table, which was not in first normal form, I have decomposed it into first normal form. This is how you should do it. And there are various ways of doing it into the first normal form. We'll work with an example here now. Now look at this table. Is the following relation in first normal form? This is how the question might be asked. There is a table which has USN, name, gender, city and hobbies as the attributes. Now looking at this, is this in first normal form? Now how should I verify is looking at the values for each attribute. Students will have a unique USN. Yes, it has a scalar value. What does first normal form says? A table is said to be in first normal form if all the attributes have scalar values, single values. Yes, USN fine. Name also okay, single name. Gender, yes. City, yes. There is an attribute known as hobbies. Now what I mean by hobbies? A person will have more than one hobby. For example, I will be having the hobbies of playing cricket, football, snookers, chess, badminton and all. So see, for this table, this attribute for me will be having 5 values. Hobbies are 5. So since that attribute column has 5 values, it can't be in first normal form. True? Are you getting this? Yes. So can it be converted into first normal form? This is not in first normal form. Very true, because hobbies will have multiple values. Can we convert it to first normal form? Yes, we can do it because we studied it by decomposing it. Now there are different ways of doing it into the first normal form. The first way, which we studied that, what does the first rule says that? The attribute which has multiple values, take it out from the main table and place it in a new table, which I did here. Along with that, take out the key attribute from the main table and designate it to the new table and make both together as the primary key. Now look at this table here. The main table here, I have decomposed it. USN, name, gender, city. So every attribute is a scalar? Yes. This is right now in one NFA. Now look at this table. Hobbies was taken out and I have underlined it. I have made it as a primary key along with USN. So USN1 cricket, USN1 football, USN1 badminton, USN1 snookers. So every row will have a scalar value in it. Getting this? So this is the first way of how you can decompose a given relation into one NFA and designate both them as a primary key. Because we know now the concept of primary key, no tuple should be repeated. So together they should not be repeated for me. So this is the first way of doing it. Second way is, what you can do is, whichever attribute had multiple values. Now what is that? Hobbies. Hobbies has a multiple valued. So what you can do here is, along with the key attribute USN in the same table, you can make hobbies also as the primary key. So what will happen here is, USN1, name, gender, city, cricket. One you will do it. Again next row, USN1, name, gender, city, football. You can do this, but what happens is, redundancy increases. These values will keep on repeating again. For everything there is a pros and cons. So here this is the second way. Without decomposing it, what you can do is, you can make the attribute which has multiple values as primary key along with the main key, and you can keep on entering the values. The next one, third way is, whichever attribute has multiple values, hobbies, break that attribute into some sub attributes up to the level which you want. For example, here assume that a person has maximum 3 hobbies. So what you can do is that hobbies attributes can be decomposed into like hobby 1, hobby 2 and hobby 3. So what happens here is USN is only the primary key. The attribute which has multiple values is now decomposed into hobby 1, hobby 2, hobby 3. But this may also lead for me in null values. Assume that there is a person who has only a single hobby. So in that case, what will happen? He'll enter always his hobby 1, hobby 2 and hobby 3 will have a null values. Assume that there is a person who has only 2 hobbies, maximum 2 hobbies. So this 2 will be filled, this will have null values. For everything there is a pros and cons. I'm just telling you the 3 different ways of which a given relation can be decomposed into one NFA. Hobbies, which are multiple values we can't do. The first way which we studied is take out the attribute which has multiple values from the main table and place it in a new table. Along with this attribute, designate the primary key of the main table. Which one was that? USN. Now this becomes a foreign key to this table and make them as a composite key. Now here everything will have individual values. So now this is in one NFA. Second thing, the attribute which has again a multiple values, decompose it again to this, which will go in one NFA, or else break the attribute into multiple attributes, which will also make it in one NFA. Now is this clear what is one NFA? Given a table and if every attribute has a scalar value, it is said to be in one NFA. If it is not in one NFA, I can decompose it in one NFA in either of these 3 forms. So this is what is one NFA. Then what is second normal form? Now we studied what is first normal form. Everything should be a scalar value. Then what is second normal form? The second normal form says that a table is said to be in 2 NFA if the database is already in first normal form, which I told you right now. If you go for second, it is assumed that it should be in first normal form. And the second rule says is all non-key attributes in the table must be functionally dependent on the entire primary key. All non-key attributes of the table should be dependent on the entire primary key. Now look at this. Assume that there is a table by name student and course. So which are the key attributes here now? Student ID which is underlined, course ID which is underlined. So together they are key attributes. Now which are non-key attributes? Name and units. So if this table is need to be in second normal form, then all the non-key attributes which is name and units should be functionally dependent on the entire primary key. Now which is the entire primary key? Student ID and course ID. But what is happening here is with student ID I can tell your name. With course ID I can tell how much unit it is, credits or units, right? So what is happening here is the non-key attribute is dependent on only the part of the key and not the entire key. If such scenario occurs, then we can say that this relation is not in 2 NFA. Now look at this. This is the composite key. How to get it? Remove the partial dependencies. This is a composite key. Now see, dependency as I am talking about. Student ID can give me name. So name is only dependent on student ID, but not on the entire key. Similarly, units is dependent on course ID and not on the entire key. And this is called as partial dependency. So remove the partial dependencies from the table. Yes, this is partial dependency. What is total dependency? When the non-key attributes are dependent on the entire key is called as total dependency. When the non-key attribute is dependent only on a part of a key, then it is called as partial dependency. So first rule says that remove the partial dependencies. Remove all the attributes that are dependent from the part but not the whole of the primary key from the original relation. Now see, student ID and name, course ID and unit. So what we can do from this table is, whichever is the partial dependency, take it out from the main table and place it in a new table. Now this table, student ID name is a partial dependency, course ID and units is a partial dependency. So take it out and place it in a new table. See here. Student ID, name, course ID, unit. So what does the first rule says is, remove the partial dependencies. So whichever attributes has partial dependency, take it out from the main table and place it in a new relation. So I get something like this now. So what remains here is, if I remove the dependencies, student ID and name is one dependency, course ID and unit is other dependencies. So what are the only key attributes left? Student ID and course ID. So this remains in the main table. Take out the partial dependency, I took it out, student ID and name, and other partial dependencies, course ID and unit. Got it? How this works in 2NFA? Given a relation, if there are partial dependencies, take out the partial dependencies and place it in a new table. And whichever is a partial dependency, make that attribute as a key attribute. Student ID was a key attribute, it's a key attribute. Course ID was the key attribute, course ID is a key attribute. And the parent table will have student ID and course ID. Now look at each table. Already it is in 1NFA, we have scalar values. And the non-key attribute, there is no non-key attribute, so by default it is in 2NFA. Look at this. The non-key attribute is dependent only on the key attribute, so it is said to be in second normal form. The non-key attribute is dependent on the key attribute, it is said to be in second normal form. So this is how you can decompose a given relation into two normal form. The rule says that if a data item is fully functional dependent on part of the primary key, move that item and the part of the primary key in a new table. Second rule, if other data items are functionally dependent on the same or part of a key, place them on a new table, make the partial primary key copied from the original table as a primary key into the new table. So this is how you can decompose into the second normal form. We'll work one by one example now. Again, look at this table here. There is a table for book I'm talking, title, publisher ID, author ID, price and address. And they have already showed me the keys as title, publisher ID and author ID. Now these are the keys given to me, and the dependence also they have told. See, title, publisher ID and author ID will give me price. Title, publisher ID and author ID will give me the price of the book. Author ID will give me author address. Now which are the key attributes here? Title, publisher ID and author ID. Now this relation, to be in second normal form, what does the rule says? Every non-key attribute should be fully functionally dependent on the entire key attribute. This is non-key attribute. Do agree? Now this is dependent on the entire key. Yes, satisfied. But there is one more non-key attribute, author address. Why do I require title of the book and publisher ID to tell the author address? Only if I know the author ID, I can tell the author address. So what is happening here is, the non-key attribute author address is dependent only on the part of a key, but not the entire key. So now this is said to be in, not in 2NFA. How can I get it in 2NFA? What does the rule say? Whichever are the partial dependencies, take out from the main table. I'll just show here. This was the partial dependency, author ID and author address. I took it out from the main table and placed it in a new table. So what did I do here is, author ID and author address, I've taken it out from the main table and placed it in a new table. Whichever was the partial attribute is made as a primary key, and now this author ID is nothing but a foreign key here. Now look at again this table. Now is this table in 2NFA? How can I judge it? A relation is said to be in 2NFA if a non-key attribute is fully dependent on the entire key. Now look at this. Price is a non-key attribute. Only with author address I can't tell the price of the book. Only with the publisher ID I can't tell the price of the book. Nor with the title I can tell the price of the book. Price of the book can be told only when I know all these three attributes. So price is dependent on the entire key. So it is said to be in second normal form. This was already decomposed. Author address can be got with author ID. It is also in 2NFA. One more example for this. Take this example now. There is one table with city, street, house number, house color and city population. Right? So what happens here is, they have told city, street and house number as the key attribute. Now if you look at this, if I want to know the color of the house, I should know city, street and house number. So the non-key attribute is dependent on the entire key attribute. Till now here it is in 2NFA.